There comes a time when you gotta make a choice to stand up or serve on bended knee. It's got a name, it's got a place in the USA called Sweet Liberty.
Served on that council, and you will see many of the same NGOs which helped write Agenda 21 for the UN. They include Jonathan Lash of the World Resources Institute, one of the three most powerful organizations influencing the UNEP. Also on the President's Council were John Sawhill of the Nature Conservancy, and Jay Hare of the National Wildlife Federation, and Michelle Perrault, International Vice President of the Sierra Club, all players in the creation of Agenda 21 at the United Nations, now openly serving on the President's Council with a specific mission of implementing Agenda 21 into American policy. And there's an even more direct connection between Agenda 21 and our federal government. Included at the UNEP table to develop the policy, along with all of those NGO groups who helped write it, are these players from our federal government. These include the Department of State, the Department of Interior, the Department of Agriculture, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Park Service, the U.S. Forest Service, and the Fish and Wildlife Service. These agencies send representatives to all UNEP meetings and help write the policy and bring it home and help implement it right here. And why do they do that if Agenda 21 is just a myth that has no effect on our government? Well, you might remember a great deal of discussion during the Clinton administration about the idea of a reinvention of government. Vice President Al Gore was put in charge of that reinvention. Should have been our first clue. The reinvention, of course, was sustainable development. The purpose of the President's Council was to translate the guidelines of Agenda 21 into public policy to be administered by the federal government. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the step-by-step process translated into the ruling authority through which a UN plan, Agenda 21, has become unquestioned U.S. policy throughout the nation. It was invented by NGOs through the UN. It was brought to the U.S. through the President's Council, and through federal and state legislation, it is being implemented on the local level through the involvement of the same NGOs who helped write it. They are the clue. They're the ones to watch. How does it come from the United Nations down to your local community? Through these NGO groups. Sustainable development is not a local idea or a local policy. So, what is sustainable development? Sustainable development is about a planned central economy and redistribution of wealth on a local, state, national, and international level. The process by which it is implemented creates a matrix of locked away land or severe land use controls, control of energy and energy production, control of transportation, control of industry, control of food production, control of development, control of water availability, and control of population size and growth. Most of their policies and regulations are issued under the excuse of protecting the environment. And Agenda 21 is not just policy. It is a complete system to change the way we think, the way we react, the way we make decisions, and those who promote it have very specific answers as to how they want each of you to do those things. That's why they call it an agenda. Let me show you what I mean. The Sustainable Development logo, used in most of the literature on the subject, contains three connecting circles labeled social equity, economic prosperity, and ecological integrity. We know them commonly as the 3 E's. This exact formula is perfectly represented in most of the documents you will find in your city council. Look it up on their website. You'll see these things. They talk about how they're a 21st century of innovation, focusing on environment and culture and economic stability, sustainability. The word cultural is another term for equity. So what are our city fathers committing you to? Well, let's take a look at them one at a time. Let me take the 3 E's, one at a time. Social equity. I will tell you straight out, if you fail to grasp the social equity aspect of sustainable development, then you simply have no grasp of this issue, period. Social equity is based on a demand for social justice. Social justice is described as the right and the opportunity of all people to benefit equally from the resources afforded us by society and the environment. That is a nice way of saying redistribution of wealth. Redistribution of wealth, by the way, means everyone is equally poor, not equally rich. It means no one can move forward unless everyone can move forward together, a utopian myth that cannot be achieved through government edict. And by the way, Karl Marx was the first to coin the phrase social justice. Today, the term is used throughout sustainabilist literature, and it is the root of new policy initiatives. The sustainabilist system is based on the principle that individuals must give up selfish wants for the needs of the common good or the community. This is the same policy behind the push to eliminate our nation's borders, to allow the migration of those from other nations into the United States to share our individually created wealth and our taxpayer-paid government social programs. Borders, they say, stop the natural migration of the human race. National sovereignty, they say, is a social injustice. According to the sustainabilists, it is a social injustice for some to have prosperity if others do not. Profits are made at the expense of the people. In short, social equity through sustainable development is a means to a forced utopia with promises of health care for all, jobs for all, housing for all, and equality for all. So, the reason government refuses to secure our borders is because it is committed to imposing sustainable development. The reason Congress refused to listen to your pleas about centralized health care is because it is committed to sustainable development. Simply do a Google search for sustainable medicine, and you will find more than 5,800,000 references containing most of the provisions of Obamacare. And incredibly, a new social justice policy making its way through state governments is called, are you ready? Gross national happiness. G&H. Under the health plank of Agenda 21, it is an attempt to qualify in psychological terms general well-being. If allowed to move forward, gross national happiness will slowly replace gross national product as the standard to measure the health of the nation. Rather than using economics, it will measure social trends that affect the quality of life. Gross national happiness preaches that the pursuit of money and things causes stress and degrades the environment. Again, it laments that only some achieve rich, comfortable lives, so the only answer can be to equally spread the wealth. Redistribution, confiscation, rules and regulations. Now, I don't know about you, but all that government in my life causes me stress. And it makes me very unhappy.
There comes a time when you gotta make a choice to stand up or serve on bended knee. It's got a name, it's got a place in the USA called Sweet